Hi, my name is Carla Campos, and I'm the founder of Social Tech Live. We have Ili Simhi, who is one of the organizers and well
Good
known
morning.
for putting together the Nobi Mixer. There's Ili. We have Anthony Jordon and Wellington Guzman, really well known photographers here in the Miami area, who are
Hello.
going to be doing a session on photography and social media at Social Tech Live. Hi, guys, how are you?
Morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are ya?
Good. So, guys, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do here in Miami, your photography, your profession? Anthony, you can go first, and then Wellington. We could switch it up.
So I'm a local photographer here in the South Florida area and been based out of Miami for the last 8 years now, shooting weddings and events and doing a little social media consulting on the side. That is my background.
Cool. And you are also sponsoring our conference. You're helping us with some of your professional services. You did it last year as well, and the people loved your photos. Can you tell us more a little bit about your event photography experience?
So, like I said, I've been shooting events for a number of years. I actually started as a poor little promotions guy for the Miami New Times. So through networking through that, and that's how the photography side of things have grown a little bit for me. Going out, meeting people, and then just kind of the trustworthiness of someone that's dependable and that has developed being able to capture some pretty good images of and documenting events that have happened around the South Florida area. That's been the extent of my event experience, but I've also branched out into the wedding side, capturing weddings for a number of clients too over the last couple of years too.
And is photography your passion? When did you find out that you wanted to be a photographer?
Yeah, I've actually been shooting or I've had a camera for as long as I can remember, maybe like middle school, high school, but the actual passion of being, a dedicated photographer probably didn't start until I moved here to Miami a few years after that. It literally kind of was one of those, I needed a side hustle. I just transitioned into another full-time gig, and I wanted some extra cash on the side pretty much, but I knew that it had to be something that I would enjoy, and going out and photographing events and people and places and things has always been something that I've just had a fondness for. So, they always say it's never really work if you actually enjoy what you do. So that's kind of how I've taken on doing photography in South Florida and actually getting out of South Florida to do some photography around the nation as well for other clients too.
Awesome. And we have Wellington here as well, another well-known photographer in the Miami area. And you were at the conference last year as well, but I think we really got to know each other more at the Nobi Mixer. So can you tell us more about your photography experience?
I've done many events. I started out assisting in weddings so that I would get to know a little bit of my lighting scenario and situations and things like that. And I said I wouldn't really do weddings after that. And lo and behold, I met Anthony. We started hanging out, and we started doing weddings. Who knew? I think I like that better, though, working as a team, helping each other out, and troubleshooting things out there is pretty good. So yes, I do weddings on the side as well. I do other events, but my main focus right now is in fashion, in the fashion industry, and swimwear as well, and portraiture.
And these guys are very humble because if you actually go into Wellington's Instagram page, it's like fabulous. It's like one of the coolest pages that I've seen in a long time. So don't let his little humbleness and the way he talks fool you, because go check out his Instagram for his work. So can you tell us a little bit about that, Wellington?
So yes, so for the longest time, I was opposed to joining Instagram just because.
Long time.
Yeah, let's say in dog years. I had way too many applications, too many other sites that I joined, and I didn't really see a anything coming of it. But mainly because I wasn't really promoting it. I was not marketing it. I am not a salesperson, right? So for the longest time, I just didn't want to do Instagram because I figured it was a fad. It would fade away in a few months, in a few years, and I was just waiting for the ball to drop and for a new application to come up. And meanwhile, Anthony was behind me, uh, whispering at me, "You gotta join, you gotta join." You gotta join, and I was opposed to it for I'd say for a good 2 years, and finally I said, okay, maybe it's catching on, maybe it's here to stay. So I joined the Instagram community. I started posting things, some of the things that I would do, some of my past pictures, and then I started getting serious once I really started focusing on fashion and portraiture, and I've kind of developed a roadmap to where I wanna be at the end of the year, basically, and so that's what I'm working towards in my Instagram.
So how does it work for you now?
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm definitely getting a lot more clients through there. I'm communicating better with designers directly, which is really fun. I have a couple of projects coming up, and it's all because of Instagram. It's either working only because I'm putting more work out there, I'm promoting myself more. Maybe it's working because I'm doing a better job of selecting my images and my posts, or maybe it's a combination of everything. Maybe it's working because I'm also getting out there and reaching out.
You
And
guys feel that social media has helped with your business?
I'll jump on that one. I absolutely feel social media helped on my business. It's for me, it started with Facebook and Twitter, and actually, I was kind of the Wellington of Twitter when that first came out, and I was against, I didn't want another account, I didn't want something else I had to memorize a password for. But once I was on, and specifically that time period, I was working with the New Times. I was getting a lot of referrals through Twitter, and people were sharing my work, and they were making referrals for me and connecting me with other people. And then back then, the tweet ups were really big. I say back then like it was so many moons ago, but a few years ago, the tweet ups were really big. So that was a big networker for me, and that was a big platform for me to get the work out and for me to stay connected with people. It's transitioned for me to Facebook and Instagram now. A lot of my referrals, my friends and family are seeing it on Facebook. I have some folks that are reaching out to me through Instagram. Um, and a lot of my referrals are also still through networking and through word of mouth also. So the platforms that have worked best for me have always been Facebook and Instagram. A little on the side on Twitter, but those platforms, social media, definitely.
I did see you active on Google Plus. It was a
Yes,
time that I remember I used to
active
get a
on.
lot of messages, and with Soul of Miami, I think,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Two,
What was the experience about that?
yeah, two. I had two clients that were specifically kind of like brand new, starting out, and this was a few years ago when the Google Plus craze was out there. And when Google Plus
Mhm.
first started, that was, it was one of those things where they were saying it boosts your SEO. It's great because since it's all related to Google, you're more searchable through Google. So I had a big push with either pushing content out there, helping the clients with creating their content and getting their pages active. So that's still active for me, but I've kind of taken them back from Google Plus just because I'm overwhelmed. Working for myself and working for a couple clients, there's a lot that I have to do, so I've decided to focus my efforts more on the Facebook and the Twitter side. Excuse me, the Facebook and the Instagram side. With Google Plus, I stay connected with people, whether it be some photo walks I've led in other cities, and then inspiration as far as photography is concerned also. But again, my focus has kind of relinquished more to the Facebook and Instagram side.
Yeah. So Facebook is more local. The social connection for work, it's more local rather than G plus.
Absolutely.
So a lot of other photographer friends of mine have said that Google Plus just has really good picture quality, that you can actually upload the high resolution photos and it just looks better. What are your thoughts on that? Maybe like using it as
That's
storage?
something interesting because do we really need quality on social media and on what platform? And
Exactly.
that's a very good question.
you're always going to be worried about, how the image looks, what the representation of, the work that's out there. Um, I've never looked at the platforms based on the quality issue. Seriously, I've always looked at what's the networking opportunity, what's the opportunity for me to get more business, what's the opportunity for me to just connect with more people. I like, personally, they all have their own formats, and I like the way that Google Plus arranges its photo albums better than Facebook. I like the way that there's a larger integration with a lot of the uploads, the automatic uploads to the cloud, and how you can sort your albums and how you can share the content that way versus what Facebook does. Um, for me, I manage them both, but I truly think that Google Plus has a better interface when it comes to how you're managing your photo albums, how you're sharing your photos, how you have the ability for other people to share photos to that same album, those types of things. Google Plus just does it better for me.
What do you think, Wellington?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100% with Anthony. In terms of quality, I'm not too concerned about quality, even though I think in Google Plus it's better. But I definitely think that content is what matters. And when I see a picture, regardless where it is, if I see elements of a good image, then that's what matters to me. If I were to be hiring someone else based on their photography, I'm not looking to see whether the image has good quality, only because that's almost not up to the photographer. It's not up to the person who uploads, but more so compositional elements and things like that in their photography. That's what's going to capture my attention.
Yeah, I agree too.
And photography is really important in social media. That's what captures the audience. That's what captures people's eyes. And there's a lot of competition. So what are your thoughts on competition on social media, and how do you guys stay on top of the game? Because you guys are very well known here in the area. I mean, you guys stay on top of that networking.
We try.
We try.
The staying on top of the competition, it's all about, just like Wellington has already hinted at, it's all about the composition of your image, as opposed to just putting images out there and trying to be the number one person with the most images of your event. For example, if you go to an event, you want to focus on, yes, you want to focus on the people there, you want to focus on the product, but I've kind of seen in my experience in the past where if people are shooting events, there's a lot of the back of the heads, and not so much the faces, or there's, general things like lighting might be a little bad. There's ways to improve upon that using external flash, or positioning yourself so you get the front of the crowd as opposed to the back of the crowd. Unless you're going to do something artistically creative with the back of the crowd's heads, make it as stage in front it's all lit up, something different.
That's something interesting that I would like to see.
Those are just some of the tricks that we'll actually get into at the conference in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think competition is only getting better. Competition is good. You don't want someone or a certain group to be dominating the scene. I think competition keeps you on your toes, and basically, like Anthony was saying, the way I approach a shot, or even just shooting at a conference, is more like, well, do I have a shot that someone else randomly standing or sitting on their chair can also take? So I'm always trying to see where that shot is that no one else is going to take. That is a very general shot, And so
Do you really take the time? Like, let's say you cover in an event, you really take the time to think this way? Because I'm trying to think back. I don't remember. I had moments. I just go.
Good question. For the most part, I'll approach the event in that sense. I will try to get those first initial shots in that perspective. I will try to go into the corner, onto the side, from a lower angle, different techniques like that, where someone will have to think about that specific shot in order to get it. And after I catch those initial shots that way, then I don't focus too much on being original, being creative, and I just try to get those specific shots that the clients are looking for, those shots that capture the general audience.
Is a huge component. So I think as photographers and people who do, I'm not a photographer, but I have taken photography courses because social media like needs it. You know what I mean? It's not. It's a huge component of it. And we talked about competition, but you know we're all friendly, and as you can tell, Wellington and Anthony work together, so it's like a friendly sort of like Olympics competition, you know, for fun, just kind of like testing our own creativity. And photography is like a very saturated industry, in my opinion. There's a lot of photographers, so when I say like staying on top of the game or ahead of the competition, I just mean, you know, how do you get more attention to the saturated space? And I think creativity is like a huge component of that. So back
Yeah.
to our conversation. So you're gonna be talking about photography and social media at Social Tech Live. So can you tell us a little bit more about the session? You know, we don't want to give away too much, but
Sure. Wellington's going to start with some tips and tricks on the basics of photography, kind of like a crash course in photography 101. I'm going to touch base on some apps that you can use on the mobile side to, think event, your outfit event. Hopefully you won't have a laptop, desktop computer carried in your backpack to be able to edit your images. But there's a ton of apps out there that you can use on any mobile device. And then we're going to talk about how to apply some of those creative techniques to a couple of the social media platforms from there.
That would be interesting.
We want to basically approach the conference not in a sense that everyone's just getting started in social media, but at least start with a basic understanding and try to bring everyone along to a point where it makes a difference in their perspective, social media and their applications. So while we're gonna start very simplistic, I think we're gonna end at a point where everyone will learn something about photography, but also maybe even learn something about someone else, how our photography applies to someone else's industry or social media platform.
and that's good because a lot of the time I think people who present at sessions assume that everyone's a beginner, and that's not the case. There's a lot, especially here in South Florida, there's a lot of mixed audiences, and sometimes when you go to the sessions, it's just for beginners, and you know sometimes you're just like, hey, maybe I came to the wrong session. So it's good that you guys are like planning for different audiences, because we know like the South Florida audience here is it varies in expertise, and each photographer is different. And touching on that, since we hang out with a lot of photographers, just because, what are some pet peeves of you, that you as photographers on social media? Because I hear tons of things from photographers, like Instagram models, who do they think they are, kind of things. And I'm not saying that's your opinion, but what are some of your pet peeves?
Wellington or Sean Clark?
That's a good question. If you have one right off the bat, go for it.
Social media pet peeves with photography. It's all about, for me, it's the lighting and the composition. Those are, I think they're not complex ideas to understand, but it's very simple to just think, I'm at an event, I got to post something, let me get it out there and get it out there. But it may not be the best representation to go out and immediately. Yes, events and things are structured, and you have a certain amount of time allotted for that. But try to what elements of the event you want to capture. With regards to clients and their products, always think about who your audience is, what you're trying to target, what you want to show off about your product. I think there's a lot of brands out there that are doing things well. My pet peeve is, it's the basics of photography that some people don't fully grasp, and hopefully through our conference we'll be able to kind of share those ideas with them and make them a little bit more educational.
Wellington?
Well, one of my big pet peeves, and maybe not necessarily just in photography, but also in videography and excuse me if I offend anyone. When you're taking a picture and you're doing it, maybe you're not using all of the area of your camera per se. You take it vertical as opposed to horizontal, so you can get more of the product or the scene. Um, I think that's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, because if you try to post that image, and it's only vertical and it's not using the horizontal space, then you're losing a lot of area on your computer or on the TV screen or anywhere that you're gonna post that. So for example, I know, for Instagram, if you take video, it's a square. You can't help that. But if you're doing video and you're doing it and posting it on Facebook and you're doing it portrait style, you're losing a lot of space in your screen, and that's kind of a pet peeve of mine, because you actually want to have the audience fully immersed in your social media, and whereas to me it's a waste of space, basically, with photography and videography.
It's an
And
opinion.
you're a photographer as well, right? Well, it's one of your professions. What are your pet peeves?
I thought I was just observing today. um,
Put you in the hot seat.
for me, it's very clear. Um, I would more focus on ethics between photographers, and people that using photos of photographers and using social media, not necessarily talk about the content or the composition and all that stuff, because social media is social media. And for me, my passion, I'm coming from TV background, from videos, so this is my passion. Express myself.
No, you made some good
Sure.
points. I think the sharing and the way that social media works with photos, sometimes people are like, when Pinterest first came out, people were just like, I don't want my photos from Flickr being shared on Pinterest, someone stealing my photos. And because of social media, like the sharing economy has kind of changed. There's like that little argument, that little borderline where it's like, are you stealing my photography, my art, or are you sharing it and giving me exposure? Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, we can compare it to the music industry, actually. Like music today, sharing music, musician using the music, on social media to use that to sell tickets for concerts. Okay, so they sharing. With photography, it's kind of the same thing, but it's just a different way to look at that. So I think that photographers, professional photographers, this is their profession, and photography is everywhere. And everyone can be a photographer. That's what I think that as well. We all have this spark of vision, of this visual that we see. We see things different. You need to put your name on the photo if you care to have presence online. If you care just to share, if you notice some of my photos, I put my logo. That's how I feel personally. I put my watermark on them, and some of my photos I don't. It doesn't mean yet that you can use it as your profile photo without giving credit. You should, but this is what I was talking about, ethics in social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree?
Agreed. Yeah.
Anthony?
Agree. Play
Yeah.
nice.
Play nice.
so Anthony, so how do you feel? Like, how should we share Anthony's photo? Like, what are like? So I want to see kind of like the perspective difference. So, what would be the procedure that Anthony would like to be like for his photo shared? So, say you post a photo on Facebook with watermark or without. Like, what is your personal take on how that should be shared and how you should be giving credit?
I've always kind of gone back and forth between that, honestly. I it's kind of, for me, it's kind of like identity theft. They're going to take it whether they want it or not, whether you want them to or not. So, to go the extra mile and put your watermark on an image, that is an option. I'm also torn between, for me, the quality of that image is a little degraded because I've watermarked everything and I have taken away from my expression of putting the work out there. Yes, like I said, to me, it truly is like identity theft.
I will be very happy to extend this conversation afterwards.
Well, we have till 8, and Miriam just came on board. Just hi,
Hi,
Miriam.
good morning.
Hi, sorry.
No, it's okay. So we're just talking about sharing on social media and art. Photography is art. So now we're
I love working with Wellington because he's always very creative, and that makes it fun, exciting, and we get like the best shots. So he's one of my favorites.
Is he the one who took those shots of you in a yellow dress from New York? Is that the recent one?
The New York pics are all Wellington. Yep.
They're amazing, by the way. Good job.
Good job.
Thank you.
And you
Thank
know
you.
what, Miriam? You're very, very easy to work with and to take pictures of.
Oh, thank
Pleasure.
you. You're one of my favorites too, Ili.
Oh,
You're my team.
thank you.
Okay, so Wellington, so any thoughts on how you like your photos shared, or like how do you like to be credited?
Well, yeah, I always go back and forth in terms of whether I use a watermark for my images. Like Anthony was saying, sometimes it's a toss up. Sometimes it depends how the day is looking, and that's how I feel. For the most part, I do post my images with a watermark, just in case the person who's about to share doesn't say anything. I don't want to leave it to chance. I do appreciate it when people do give me credit for the images with or without a watermark. Being that this is kind of like my passion and what I get paid for this. It only makes sense to us photographers that you do give them credit for it. Otherwise, the image is going to get lost amongst the other images, and you might say, if you're looking at the image, well, it could be this other person's picture. It could be the person who posted it. It could be their picture. But in social media, for example, you grab someone's image and I don't see it. I don't know that you posted it somewhere else,
Yeah.
and you haven't named me. Then it just goes into the ether.
But
So
there,
I just think that.
It happened to me, Wellington, that I had this company used my photo, like a couple of my photos, like for their commercial use. The same way that you said that they found it, and they just posted it and they put it there, and it was watermarked on those photos, and they used their logo. They just covered it. So,
Gotcha.
and
Okay,
it
so
was
that's
running,
that's
like you
definitely
said, like it was
unethical.
like rolling around in social media, and that's how I found it. And I reached out, and I felt like, do I need to reach out? Do I not? Because you're not thinking about stuff like that. Why do I need to deal with that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's an issue.
there are organizations and there are programs out there that can help manage that a little easier. Again, we can talk offline about that also, but those aspects, monetarily, it's in your benefit if it's a corporation, if it's a huge brand that's, they're profitable. Every bit you should reach out to them and either ask them to cease and desist, and if they don't want to, then you have every right to pursue legal action behind that.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know.
So that's going to
Yeah.
be interesting. Very interesting talk. Are we going to have hands-on? I ask everybody.
We want to make sure that we definitely provide some good content for folks to take home and to be able to make it applicable in their lives. But any questions or any suggestions or feedback people have during the session, we definitely welcome that.
So any last
Absolutely.
words, guys? All right, here you go. Any last words before we go, guys? Because we're hitting on 8 o'clock, and I think that's what we scheduled to 8 a.m. this morning. So
Yeah, we need to go to
Sure.
school.
photography school.
Shameless self-promoting here. Follow me on Instagram at jphotog, ANTJPHOTOG. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat also. We'll be touching bases on Snapchat and a little on Pinterest when we get there too.
And we have that on your bio, right? On the website. This information. So,
Awesome.
Wellington?
As for myself, we're definitely trying to reach to as many people as possible. The presentation, and I'm obviously very humbled that you guys invited us to participate and talk to the audience as well. We understand that we are coming in as photographers and speaking into social media, and of course, there are many of you out there who have been in social media and marketing way longer than I've been in photography. So with that respect, I am very sure that you guys, the audience, might be teaching us a thing or two about social media and photography, even though we are presenting for photography and social media. So I am taking this approach as a great teaching experience, but a great learning experience because, hey, obviously, thank you guys for doing this, for hosting us, for doing the interview, and for letting us present out there as well.
Yeah, I also want to say one more thank you as well. Thank you, Wellington, for partnering with us today and for the presentation coming up in July. Carla and Ely, thank you for the opportunity to interview this morning, and the same comments as Wellington. You know, we're humbled to be a part of the conference, and you know, it's a life lesson. You can't grow without some type of exchange to continue learning about either your craft or other perspectives from other people. So we're happy, like I said, to have that exchange on July 15th.
Yeah, for me it was. I was very excited when I heard when you guys confirmed because coming back from the same background, it's very important to have photography, professional photography. It's, you know, conferences, business events, businesses and social media, it's important. Along with the random content, the photography, videos. So I'm very excited and looking forward.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you guys for being here. And as the founder, you know, this is what I love: the humility, that kind of culture that, like, let's help each other, let's give each other information, let's help each other grow. And that's what Social Tech Live is about. So thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Ely. Thank you, Wellington. And guys, check us out at socialtechlive.com, all over the web at Social Tech Live. Peace.